Can you teach me how to play?
Of course, Squish. Good you go, eh? You start by laying down this piece of leather. Shaking the dish and slamming it on the ground like this. Make sure you have all 6 in first.
Who taught you how to play Walters?
My Niskamiji taught me, and I will teach you.
Well, what about that one that landed on the edge?
Oh, Gwish, you pound and flap your hand back and forth just like this. You try to turn it over on the side you want.
How do you win?
You get 5 points every time the 6 dice land facing up. You play until someone else has all the sticks. My Niskamiji told me the more you talk to the dice, the better. In fact, I believe the more we speak about our history, the more we share, the clearer our future becomes. Not quite day, not quite night. The floor is so cold, the bed is so hard. Everything that I knew is now so far. The lack of necessities makes me weak. Why is it so evil every time that I speak? Everything that is good lies under the steeple, and everything that is wrong, they tell me, lies with my people. They tell me to forget everything that I know. Then they say God won't hate me so. They beat me when I speak. They beat me when they catch me praying. They beat me so much I can't hear what they're saying. It hurts when I sit, it hurts when I stand. It hurts to be native, it hurts to be who I am. They open my skin with their medicine made of leather. My friend can no longer walk right, but they say he's now better. He now prays to the cross, he speaks their talk. He can no longer run, so to heaven he'll have to walk. They say our people are the devil in disguise, but my parents love me, why would they teach me lies? I'm no longer native, but I'm still not white. I'm like dusk or dawn, not quite day, not quite night. To my granddad, forever my love and respect.
Nudge, can I have a turn?
Of course, Gwiz.
Look how the dice are dancing.
Wigawase Wabi, aren't the patterns beautiful?
Yes, Nudgy, they remind me of Gojawa.
It's our traditional dance style here in Migamagi. We played Jigamahan and danced the Gojawa for centuries. Sometimes the dancers compete just like the dice.
I Trevor's kind of cute. He's kind of cute. Third place. Here we go. Third place.
Trevor.
Third place. Ah! All right. Everyone, a big round of applause for third place. Oh, I predicted that one real cool. And in second place. Come on over here.
My freestyle at the end.
Second place. All right, we come on second place. And your champion, Harmony Fall. Big round of applause. Come on over here, guys.
What does the pattern mean?
To me, it reminds me of the flowers that sprout from Mother Earth, just like us, Quiz. We say Wedgie Skiliatic. It means from the earth we sprouted.
I think that looks like a sand dollar.
That too, Gwis. All of our traditional patterns and artworks are inspired by the plants and animals in the land that surrounds us.
So one of the things we did originally was we hired Lisbeth's mom, Margaret Johnson, and Caroline Marshall, and Pauline Loft to do some beadwork. And we wanted them to make the old clothing, the chief's jackets and the women's peaked hats and skirt and the jacket. And so we hired these women, and we went out and we bought the pattern for the jacket. They used an old military coat, and then we bought new material, and then the hats. The women wanted to make the hats, and I learned from them, those two elders, how to make these peaked hats. And I think the reason I was interested in them is that I would see them in the museums and old photographs, and I kept wondering, why aren't women wearing them anymore, or very few women would wear them, or I'd only see elders wear them. And I remember when my mother got one, Mary Brooks had made hers, and there were several elders who wore them. My mother was one, Matilda Herney, Katie, Margaret LaBillois, Chief Margaret LaBillois. There are a few of the women who were wearing these, and I thought they were beautiful. Personally, I don't like hats, I don't wear hats, but I always thought they were a thing of beauty. Like the beadwork was amazing, and just the way they were made with so much meaning. And Lillian Marshall would talk about them, and sometimes what she said, some of the beadwork on there would tell you who the woman was, her status in life, whether she was single, married, widowed, an elder, what her clan was, what community she was from, what district she was from. And so we gave a lot of information about the woman who wore the hat. But now we don't seem to know the meaning of these symbols. But what I do now is when I work with women, I try to get them to make it their own, something that has meaning for them. There's one lady in Eskasoni, I think her hat is absolutely gorgeous. Her name is Nancy Oakley, and she put, I will just pick this up for a minute, she put oak leaves here, beautiful beaded oak leaves. There are other women who have used petroglyphs, symbols of that our people use, the hieroglyphics, but things that have a lot of meaning for them. Things that, so they make these hats very personal, and put their own history and their own life story in that hat. The colors, they're usually black, red, I've seen them also in dark blue. And the reason I think is because those were the colors that were available. Trade cloth, right? When you're trading with the French and trading with the English, these are the colors that would have been available. So that's what they used. I think it's a personal choice. Whatever works for them. If it's for the loved one or if it's for their own. But to me, the peaked hat and the making and the beading, those are all creative outlets for healing. You know, you take it and put it. I don't like wearing hats, but they put them on this way.
I know that the waltzes and sticks are made out of wood, but what are the dice made of?
Bone, Gwis, or antler, are people believed in using all of the animals, so bone is also used for many tools. You know those old rock carvings?
Yeah, or petroglyphs.
Yes, those are carved with the bones from the hindquarters of bigger animals like moose and caribou, along with other stone tools. We also use hide to make this piece of leather that we're playing on.
Kingston uses a blanket.
That's okay too, Gwis. There's lots of ideas around the game of Waltus. Some of our legends say the bowl itself is important, like an ark or a boat for a journey.
Wait a minute, isn't there something about water?
Good memory, Gwis. When the bowl is filled with water and left overnight, the arrangement of the sticks will reveal important knowledge of our past, present, and our future.
Cedar Muse Waterman and Carly Peck have a very unique summer job. The 14-year-olds are learning how to work with birch bark and spruce root, studying under master canoe builder Todd Labrador.
There's never really a dull moment. Yeah. Because there's always someone laughing or there's someone always learning, and it's an honor.
Building a canoe by hand is meticulous and time-consuming work, but Labrador doesn't see it that way.
This is what I do on my days off. This is what I do, you know, when I go to sleep at night, I think about this, and I think about next summer, and I think about trees that I saw, or I think about a place where there's roots.
Labrador is one of the only people in the country with this passion, and he says it's more important than ever to share it.
Todd's passing down like the skills and the knowledge that, you know, our ancestors had, and that's really special to us.
They're not the only ones getting an education.
Thousands of years ago, they would have wanted to go across the lake.
Visitors can drop by the workshop 5 days a week, and people can register to work alongside Labrador on Sundays.
So it's connecting that whole thing from harvesting birch bark within the park, working with local communities to actually build the canoe, for the canoe to be constructed and be such a powerful symbol for this area is something I think, you know, for visitors to have the opportunity is really rare to see that kind of traditional knowledge, traditional practice, and traditional connection in place.
Working with Parks Canada is something Labrador has wanted to do for 30 years.
This is home, and it's just everywhere I walk, I feel the ancestors with me, and I feel joy because I know they're happy to see this happening.
Labrador says his apprentices have picked up skills quickly, and the group will be starting a second canoe next week.
Yeah, how do you feel when you look at it?
Proud, like honored.
We did that.
Really, it's like mind-blowing.
The plan is to launch both canoes in September. Elizabeth McMillan, CBC News, Kejimkujik National Park.
I just noticed everything in the game came from Earth, and the bowl and sticks are made out of wood. The dice of bones, even the paints come from plants.
Just like us, Hempstead Nogama. We've always been here. My grandfather played Waltus, and his before him, and before him, and before him, and so on. For 665 generations, our people have always played games, celebrated together, and appreciated family time.
Like when we hanged out?
That downtime, Gwis, that tranquility with family, that was important. It still is. Let me tell you a story my Niskami used to tell me.
Let me tell you a story about how the moose first came to Unama'ki. It was in the age of Glooskap, the time of legends. The families were setting up winter camp inland as the people did in those times.
Pendant l'été, les familles avaient bien survécu.
The families had survived well in the summer on the coast, where seafoods and berries had sustained them.
Au moment où ils érigeaient leur wigwam.
Just as they were setting up their wigwams for the first night, a winter storm hit. It was very sudden. It brought such a heavy snowfall that winter set in immediately in just one day. They hadn't had enough time to harvest meat, their winter food, to survive until spring. The families prayed to the Creator for help. They knew that their people would only survive the winter if the Creator sent them a gift. The next morning they woke up to see a beautiful animal standing amongst the trees. It was the first moose. The Creator had answered the people's prayers. They went to the moose and asked, "Are you a gift from the Creator?" The moose said, "Yes, I am here to help you survive the harsh winter. But before you harvest me, you have to make a promise. You have to treat me with respect, use every part of me, and not waste anything. Never harvest more than you need of me." This is Nedagulim. If you live this way with me, I will never leave you. So that was the beginning of the ancient agreement between the moose and the people. It was like a promise between the humans and the moose. We had to respect the animal. If we ever failed to do this, the moose would leave us. For many centuries, this agreement was kept by the people of Mi'kmaq.
Mais, au cours du 18e siècle,
sometime back in the 18th century, something changed. The moose were no longer treated with respect and began to disappear. For a long time, everybody blamed everybody else, but the result was the same for all of us. The moose left Unama'ki.
2 siècles plus tard, le Parc national
2 centuries later, the Cape Breton Highlands National Park was created. It was a beautiful place, but it lacked something. The moose needed to come home to Unama'ki, so a great effort was made to bring the moose back. They were escorted from Alberta by the RCMP. That is how precious they are. 18 moose arrived. Those 18 moose were the start of a new herd we now see in the Cape Breton Highlands. There are over 5,000 of them now. It was a new beginning. Our harvesters, who have been separated from this gift from the Creator for so many years, are bringing back the ancient agreement. We remember the long years of not being able to depend on this great animal to sustain us. So as long as we respect the moose, harvest it with care, and avoid waste, the moose will not leave us again. The spirit moose is here today to remind us. That is the sacred agreement.
I love hearing those old stories. Someday I'll teach my children.
I hope so, Gliss. That's the idea. Maniskimich told me, I tell you and you tell your grandchildren. A whole generation and many more will know our stories and ways. Then our traditions will be carried on.
I'll teach my children to play waltz.
And how to dance and sing, craft and build, speak for our people and tell our stories.
No, I can't tell a story, but I am not a dancer or a singer. I'm not a builder.
What are you then?
I love to paint and draw.
Like your mother. Well then, you must use your art to tell her stories.
It's hard to create a work in one medium for me. And I don't often let the medium define what I'm creating. It's usually the idea comes first and then the medium comes after. It allows me to draw inspiration from the past, but also draw inspiration from the contemporary and from the now. I want to be a maker. I want to be a storyteller. So first time I saw a really well-preserved Mi'kmaq porcupine quill box, I was blown away because of the colors. To see colors that are this vibrant and between 100 and 200 years old, for our colors to be that vibrant, it was really mind-blowing. And then to come here and see the largest collection of Mi'kmaq porcupine quill work in the world, in Nova Scotia here in Halifax, it's been really cool. So I can just call Roger up anytime I come to the city and visit these, which is a huge privilege. The colors are what I reference a lot. These all nest into one another. I think this entire series has kind of like been a driving force for most of my pieces. It's so bright. And then there's this, which is in my piece a lot. You see this striped half circle.
This is not an artifact. It's living, has personality, has all those emotions for somebody. The idea was to put the humanity back into this material, right? Because it was just seen in a Victorian context, right?
Yeah. They're not objects, they're living and they're breathing, their stories are still being told. So what I wanted to do with putting the actual quill work on paintings, to allow the pieces to visit with one another, to enable the works to be seen by not just Mi'kmaq people who are interested, but everyone, so everyone knows that this history is living and still breathing life into artists today. And I think through creating these works has been a way for me to figure out what these things may have meant, what these designs may have meant then, and what they could mean now. I got all these repeating patterns, so it's been really nice. I can make kind of like an archive where I can pull them together. Like all these designs that I'm working with are countless generations old, but they're so easily translated through this new technology. Makes it super interesting to play with quill work design. So throughout this work there are designs that are rooted in porcupine quill designs, but also designs that are rooted in other aspects of Mi'kmaq culture and everyday ways of being. For the print, I wanted to play with some texture under the guidance of Jill, and we pulled some texture somewhat similar to a birch bark in a lot of ways. So there's the Canoe, 1901. Wow. I've done printmaking before, but I never ever looked at it the way that Jill looks at it. And it was an amazing learning process. And I'll be forever grateful for the print that we made together. It really helped me figure out yet another way to like tell our stories. The entirety of this piece, color-wise, represents different stages of the day, all the different cycles of the day, of the season, of the life. For me, these represent clouds. These designs in many different nations across Turtle Island, that's what they represent, clouds, cloud designs. These are based on our basket edging designs, which you can see in a lot of our baskets. Right here represents the breath of life. That, for me, speaks to breathing life back into this work, into these designs, and into my own learning process and my own growing as a person. So the title of the piece means it writes itself, in reference to a vessel on the water.
If I get one more bull with all the dice faced up, I win.
I haven't given up yet. Watch this. Another 5 points for the old man.
That's pretty good, Nunji, but will it be good enough?
I don't know.